Sad to say, tragedy has struck the world of My 600-Pound Life more than once. Several cast members who bravely fought for a second chance at life have died tragically. Even though they worked hard, some participants had health problems that ended in death, and others were in so much emotional pain that their battles finished in heartbreak. These are the stars of My 600-Pound Life, who died in terrible ways, leaving fans shocked and sad. Lisa Ann Laura Perez. When people met Laura for the first time, she was close to 600 pounds and was having a hard time with the huge physical and mental effects of being so overweight. Her weight made it very hard for her to move around, be independent, and enjoy life in general. She knew she had to do something very different to stay alive. So, she went to see the famous geriatric surgery doctor, Na Zaredan, for help. Some of the participants had trouble following Dr. Na's strict diet and workout plan, but Laura was determined from the start. She worked very hard to lose enough weight so that she could have a gastrectomy, which was a big step toward getting her health back. She was able to cut down on food after the treatment and keep losing weight. Nonetheless, it wasn't easy to lose such a large amount of weight. Along with hard physical work, she had to do a lot of deep emotional and mental work to break the habits that made her gain weight in the first place. Laura had come a long way by the time her Where Are They Now episode aired. It's crazy that she lost over 300 pounds, or half of her peak weight. She was able to move around again, be independent, and enjoy life in ways she never thought possible after this change. Being free for the first time in her life made her happy, and she was looking forward to the future. Many people were moved by her story of success, which showed that with hard work and determination, real change was possible. Why did the news of Laura's death in November 2021 come as such a shock to her fans and friends? She had come so far, facing huge problems to live a healthier life. But her trip ended way too soon. Even though we don't know how she died, her untimely death is a stark warning of the long-term health risks that come with being very overweight, even after losing a lot of weight. Hugh Foots. Henry lost an amazing 440 pounds over the course of 7 years. It changed his life in ways that most people could only dream of. But his journey was anything but easy. He had to deal with huge emotional and physical problems along the way, which made his transformation even more inspiring. The death of Henry's father was one of the first big setbacks he faced. It was a terrible blow that left him mentally open. But at the same time, he lost a job that was important to him. This added financial and mental stress to his already hard journey to lose weight. Henry was still determined to lose weight and take back his life, even though things were hard. He had several surgeries to get rid of extra skin, which is a typical thing to do for people who lose a lot of weight. But even this step toward better health came with a lot of risks. Henry had a scary medical emergency during one of these surgeries. While he was in surgery, his heart stopped. Doctors were miraculously able to bring him back to life, and he made it through the experience. But Henry was still put to the test by fate. In November 2012, while driving a business shuttle bus, he had an unknown medical event. The driver lost awareness while driving, which caused the car to go off the road and hit an SUV at an intersection. Unfortunately, this accident killed a person who was not involved, and it has had a terrible effect on many lives. Henry lived through the crash, but his health kept getting worse in the months that followed. He died in May 2013. Less than a year after the accident. He was 54 years old. No official cause of death was ever given, so the last days of his life are still a secret. Henry's story is still one of drive, resilience, and the search for a better life, even though he had to deal with a lot of problems. James King. When James King first showed up in Season 5, he weighed about 790 pounds. Which made him one of the biggest people who went to see Dr. Noren for help. Because of his weight, he had serious health problems like high blood pressure, diabetes, and trouble moving around, which kept him mostly in bed. James begged for another chance at living. But his trip turned out to be hard, and things turned out badly in the end. James found it hard to stick to Dr. Now's tight weight loss plan, while many of the other patients on the show were able to make progress by being determined and disciplined. His eating habits and the fact that he needed his family, especially his wife Lisa, for everything were the things that gave him the most trouble, even though Dr. Now gave James clear directions on how to lose weight before bariatric surgery. James kept failing to reach his goals. Actually, he put on even more weight during the process, which made Dr. now angry and made her worry about his health in general. Things got very bad when Dr. Now thought that James's wife was supporting his bad habits. The medical staff tried to keep James's diet under control while he was in the hospital, but he kept adding weight. This made Dr. Now think that Lisa was giving him food without his permission. Because things were getting so bad, Dr. had to call Adult Protective Services APS to find out if Lisa's activities were making James's health worse. This was a drastic step, but it showed how bad James's position was and how the negative cycle that kept him from moving forward was. James's health got worse quickly as time went on. His organs were hurt badly by his great obesity, and he got serious problems like infections and kidney problems. James went into septic shock and died of kidney failure in April 2020. He was only 49 years old. His death was yet another sad lesson of what happens when you are very overweight and how important it is to break free from relationships that make you fat. Robert Bushell. Robert dropped 340 pounds in just the first 5 months of his weight loss journey. His amazing growth showed how dedicated he was and how willing he was to follow Dr. Now's strict diet and exercise plan. Because he worked so hard, he was even approved for weight loss surgery, which was a big step toward getting better. Many people thought that Robert was on his way to a new stage in his life, one where he could be free of the restrictions that his weight had put on him and regain his independence. But Robert was really fighting another battle, one that would end in his unexpected death. In order to lose weight, he had surgery to remove lymphedema lumps from his body. Even though these procedures were required, they hurt him a lot. He was given drugs to help him deal with things, and over time, he became dangerously dependent on them. His need for painkillers started to get in the way of his growth, and he started having emotional problems. He pulled away from people and talked about feeling helpless, which worried his family and medical staff. Robert sadly passed away from a heart attack in November 2017 while he was still trying to lose weight. He was the first person on the show's history to die while it was being filmed. Catherine, his fiancée, was heartbroken because she had been with him the whole time and helped him in every way. Later, she told him that Robert had been depressed and even refused to keep on with his weight loss plan in his last days, which showed that his problems were more than just his health. Hi, Lisa Fleming. Lisa Fleming came to see Dr. Now Zaradon for help because she was over 700 pounds and couldn't move while she was in bed. Her health had gotten so bad that 7 rescuers were needed just to get her out of her house. A moment that shocked people and showed how bad her health problems were because of her weight. Lisa's story showed how losing a lot of weight can make it hard to do things and make life less enjoyable. Lisa's fight with obesity went back a long way to bad eating habits she picked up as a child and got worse over time. She had been overweight for a long time, and by the time she went on My 600B Life, she was so heavy that she couldn't do even the most basic things without help. Being stuck in bed and needing help from others, along with the mental toll it took, made her feel hopeless and led her to overeat. Lisa was eager to change, even though she was in terrible shape. As directed by Dr. Now, she was put on a tight diet to help her lose enough weight to be eligible for geriatric surgery. She lost 200 pounds and had the life-changing surgery while being watched by a doctor. Lisa still had a lot of problems, though. She started to lose weight, but it was hard for her to keep it off, without being in a hospital in a controlled setting. When she got back home, it was hard for her to keep up the changes to her diet and habits that were needed for long-term success. Lisa had a lot of health problems along the way, and many of them started happening a long time before she went to the doctor. Danielle, her daughter, stood by her and hoped she could make things better. But Lisa's body had already been badly hurt for years by illnesses linked to her weight. Lisa died in August 2018, only a few months after being on the show. She was 50 years old. Danielle says that her mother died from a number of illnesses that she had been suffering from before she went to see doctor. Now, her death was a sad reminder of how extreme obesity can hurt people in ways that can't be fixed, even when people try. Mr. Sean Milliken. Shaw Milliken was over 900 pounds, which made him one of the biggest people ever shown. His fight with extreme obesity had left him mostly bedridden and reliant on his mother for care. He was also having a hard time with both physical and emotional issues. His weight had gotten out of hand because he was overeating and having deep-seated mental health problems. Many of these problems were caused by a hard childhood and a tense relationship with his father. Sean was determined to change his life, even with all of these problems. With the help of well-known geriatric surgeon, Dr. Noah Roden. Starting a hard weight loss program meant he had to drastically change the way he ate and become more active. Sean lost an amazing 400 pounds with the help of medical help and sheer drive. This great accomplishment gave him a glimpse of a future where he could be free from the constant physical and mental pain that had been bothering him for so long and live on his own again. But just as Sean was making a lot of progress, he lost a lot of important people in his life, which stopped him on his path. Renee Milliken, his mother, died in 2017. She had been his main caregiver and biggest friend. Sean was heartbroken when she died because she had been his rock while he struggled with his weight and movement. Not only did losing her hurt him emotionally, but it also put his living situation in danger. In late that same year, Hurricane Harvey flooded Sean's apartment, which was another terrible event. The natural disaster took away most of his things, leaving him with just the clothes on his back. Sean was having a hard time keeping up the progress he had made because he was dealing with grief, loss, and an unstable living situation. As hard as Shaw tried to keep up his weight loss plan, his health kept getting worse. In February 2019, he died after an illness got worse. He was only 29 years old. His death was a sad ending to a story that had seemed so full of hope at first. Dear Ashley Randall. At only 24 years old, Ashley Randall was one of the youngest contestants on the first season of the show. She had to fight an uphill battle against her high obesity. Ashley started her weight loss journey weighing over 600 pounds. She was not only having a hard time physically because of her size, but she was also having a hard time emotionally and personally. Like many of the people who went to see Dr. Nazaratan for help, she was dealing with the psychological problems that come with food abuse. Ashley worked very hard to get her life back, even though there were many things that got in her way. She stuck to Dr. Now's strict diet and exercise plan and slowly lost the weight that had been holding her back for so long. Her hard work paid off, and she lost an amazing amount of weight, reaching a weight of 265 pounds. This was a big success that made her health and mobility much better. Many people were moved by her story, which showed that with drive, even the hardest problems could be solved. Ashley was successful, but it wasn't enough to keep her from having long-term health problems because she used to be overweight. She continued to deal with a number of major health problems over time. Her body had been under a lot of stress for years, making her more likely to get infections and other problems. We're sorry to say that she got a very bad infection that quickly turned into sepsis, a condition that is very dangerous because it causes many organs to stop working. As Ashley's health got worse, doctors put her on life support in a last-ditch effort to save her. Her family stayed with her and prayed for a miracle, but even with medical help, her body couldn't get better. Ashley's life support was turned off on October 2nd, 2021, and she died surrounded by the people who had been there for her throughout her journey. Kisa McMillan, Lisa. Kisa McMillan's body was in terrible shape after years of carrying too much weight. leaving her open to a wide range of health problems. Even though her condition came with risks, Kaliisa was motivated to take back control of her health and went to see the famous geriatric surgeon, Dr. Noren. Dr. Now knew that Kisa's condition was dangerous. He was really worried about her health in general, and he thought she might have an intestinal blockage, which is a rare but deadly disease. But because she was in such bad shape, he went ahead with bariatric surgery, thinking that it would help her lose enough weight to stay alive for good. The risks, he was afraid, turned out to be very real and very bad. Soon after Kisa had her gastric sleeve surgery, she started having terrible problems. One of the stitches used in the surgery didn't hold, which led to sepsis, a very bad infection that can kill. When the body's reaction to an infection is too strong, it can cause sepsis, which can cause widespread inflammation and even organ failure. Kisa's health quickly got worse, so doctors put her on a respirator to help her breathe. She was in serious condition and fighting for her life for 2.5 weeks. Kisa's body was fighting a very strong infection, so doctors made the hard choice to put her into a medically induced sleep in the hopes that it would help her get better. But the damage was already done. Even though she had a lot of medical help, her body could not heal from the problems. In September 2020, Kaliisa McMillan died sadly because of problems that came up after her surgery. She was 41 years old. Her untimely death was a sad reminder of how dangerous it is to be very overweight or have weight loss surgery. She had hoped for a second chance, but bad luck was on her side. Janet Baron. Renee Baron used to be a plus-size model and made a living by being proud of her size. Over the years, though, her weight got out of hand and started to put her health at risk. She was ready for a change and ready to do anything to get back in charge of her life by the time she started season 6 of the show. Renee started a hard weight loss journey with the help of Dr. Noren, who made her follow a strict diet and exercise plan. She showed a lot of focus and dedication by getting past the problems that had been stopping her for a long time. It paid off for her to work hard. She was able to lose more than 250 pounds and is now just under 390 pounds. This amazing accomplishment not only made it easier for her to move around and improved her health, but it also gave her hope for a better future. Renee wanted to change even more than she already did. After losing a lot of weight, she was excited to have surgery to get rid of the extra skin that was left over. This surgery would have been the next step in her plan to get her life back. However, disaster struck just as she was about to reach her goal. Renee was told she had a crippling autoimmune disorder in early 2019. This was a cruel turn of events that dashed her dreams for more surgery. Because of her illness, she couldn't keep going in the direction she had planned, so she had to change her goal from losing weight to just taking care of her health. Renee's condition got worse as her illness went on, and she was finally moved to a nursing home where she got the care she needed. Even though things went wrong, Renee was still surrounded by love. During her hard times, her family and friends were there for her and helped her feel better. Renee died in May 2021 when she was 56 years old. She left behind a legacy of strength and resilience. Gina Krasley, who weighed more than 600 pounds, found it hard to follow Dr. Now's strict food and exercise plan. Her emotional and mental struggles with food, along with the physical limits her weight put on her, made it hard for her to make progress. She had trouble meeting the goals her doctor set for her at times, and at first she wasn't old enough for bariatric surgery. Gina was still eager to take charge of her health despite these setbacks. Gina continued to try to lose weight after she was on the show. Later, she told everyone that she had lost an amazing 300 pounds, which showed how determined and dedicated she was to changing her life. She wasn't one of the most successful people on my 600-pound life, but she made a lot of progress and was still optimistic about her future. Gina's story was cut short, which was sad. She died on August 1st, 2021, when she was only 30 years old. Fans of the show were shocked by her quick death because she was still young and had been trying to get healthier. Her statement didn't give an official cause of death, so many people are guessing about what might have caused her death. It was clear, though, that she was surrounded by love as she died, with her family by her side. John James L.B. Bonner. After a terrible ATV accident in 2013 that left James L.B. Bonner with no right leg, he started to have problems with weight gain. He turned to food for comfort because losing a limb was traumatic. He was in pain all the time, and he was having mental problems. Over time, his weight got out of hand, making it almost impossible for him to move. He needed help badly. LB was ready to take back control of his life, so he went to see Dr. Nazaradan for help and started a very strict weight loss plan. He lost more than 300 pounds by following a strict diet, working out, and finally having surgery to help him lose the weight. This helped him recover his mobility and independence. LB was known for his positive attitude, sense of humor, and drive to help others who are dealing with obesity while he was on the show. This was also clear on his social media accounts. He often shared positive messages, reports about his journey, and words of support for people going through similar things. A lot of fans saw LB as a success story who showed that it was possible to get healthy and happy again. But LB was really depressed, even though no one knew it. He lost weight, but the mental scars from his past never fully healed. He had problems with his sense of self-worth, personal problems, and the mental effects of his big change in living. The bad news is that these fights got too big. When cops checked on LB on August 2, 2018, they found him in a ditch near his South Carolina home with a gunshot wound to the head that he had caused himself. He was only 30 years old. Fans, friends, and family were shocked by his quick death. Many of them didn't know how hard things were for him on the inside. Kelly Mason's body was giving out on her. She was burdened not only by her huge size, but also by a number of serious health problems. Diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, thyroid issues, and a lung embolism were some of the health problems she had. She also had a blood clot in her leg, which was a life-threatening problem that made her even more likely to have health problems that would kill her. But Kelly was motivated to change her life, even though the odds were stacked against her. Under Dr. Now's strict weight loss plan, Kelly showed a lot of dedication. She took his strict diet and exercise plan very seriously from the beginning, while many of his other patients had trouble sticking to it. It was clear what drove her. She wished to stay alive. She pushed herself and stuck to the plan religiously, and she lost an amazing 324 pounds. The fact that she lost this much weight before surgery showed how dedicated and determined she was. Kelly's growth made her feel better. It was her dream to take back control of her life, to be free, and to no longer be limited by her body. As the weight came off, she was happy and hopeful. She felt like she had a future for the first time in years. She was no longer just getting by. She fought hard to really live. But just as Kelly was about to start a new chapter, something terrible happened. Even though she had lost a lot of weight, the years of stress had already done damage that could not be fixed. Her heart was weak because she had congestive heart failure in the past, and her weight had long-lasting effects on it. Kelly died in her sleep from a heart attack the night before her 42nd birthday. It was a terrible and sudden loss that made me realize how unfair it is that sometimes even the best efforts are too little too late to fix damage done over years. Destiny Lashy and Matthew Ventris. Destiny was the first transgender person to appear on the show, and many people connected with their story, both because they were overweight and because they were trying to accept themselves and be true to themselves. Destin, whose real name is Matthew Ventris, had been dealing with sadness, trauma, and a bad relationship with food for years, which caused their weight to rise dangerously close to 700 pounds. 700. It was 2019 when Destiny went to see Dr. Nazaradan for help. They were mentally and physically in terrible shape. Their health was in bad shape because of their weight, which made it hard for them to move around and put their lives in danger. Besides the physical problems, Destin was also having mental problems. They were honest about their mental health problems, like sadness, anxiety, and the pain of feeling trapped in their own bodies. They were still motivated to take charge of their lives despite these problems. Destiny started an amazing journey to lose weight with Dr. Now's help. They stuck to the strict diet and workout plan and lost more than 500 pounds. It was an amazing change that not only made their health better, but also gave them more confidence. Destin was able to fully accept who they are through this process. They became an example for others who are having similar problems with their body image and gender identity. A lot of people are inspired by them as they use their fame to promote self-love, body positivity, and mental health understanding. But even though they changed on the outside, Destin continued to fight on the inside. They were honest about their struggles with mental health and talked about their sadness a lot on social media and in interviews. They were still dealing with the pain of past traumas, deaths, and ongoing emotional problems. Destin killed themselves in February 2022 when they were 30 years old. Not only did their loved ones feel terrible about their death, but so did the many people who found comfort in their story. What do you think about the fact that everyone on my 600-pound life died? Please tell us what you think in the box below. We hope this video was helpful for you. Kindly click like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Glad you watched and see you in the next film. Thank you.